Oh, you know what Bill's doing now? He's going for the righteous indignation dollar. That's a big dollar. A lot of people are feeling that indignation. We've done research. Huge market. He's doing a good thing.
She's a beaut, ain't she? All this time. She ain't never let me down. I just hope she's around when he's old enough to fly. Ooh, my boy. I mean, I hope it's a boy. I just want him to fly her like I do. Not like my dad or my grandpa. They flew in the war, so I didn't have to. But now, I don't know if he'll ever have the chance. Not with these around here. People are scared, man. I may never have gone to war. If them Peggies come after my family, sure as hell we'll give them one.
Alex Ansary here to talk about a new video game that's out, will be coming out, called Far Cry 5. And this is the latest in a series of shoot-'em-up video games, high-tech graphics very similar to Grand Theft Auto. But what's interesting is the timing of this video game, which, as I can see, to a certain degree, it demonizes the off-gridder as a domestic terrorist, which is a problem that we have in our country, with also off-grid communities being infiltrated by suspicious sovereign individuals, which is something that I personally witnessed. Folks, we'll get to the game in just a bit. I want to welcome those of you that tuned into this video, but this is not your typical gaming review. This is about art imitating life and life imitating art. And so when I get an email from a documentary producer in New York, she wants to ask me about the sovereigns in Costilla County because I was there documenting the off-gridders being kicked off their land. And because of Jeremy Cosley, because of Zane McDonald, and a few other sovereigns, Vince Edwards, people that were in a recent article that was published out of Denver, you know, this hipster Denver rag, really served the government narrative. So someone in New York is thinking about a documentary about the sovereign threat in Colorado because of an article that she read. You know, it's like that old bit from Bill Hicks on marketing.
By the way, if anyone here is in advertising or marketing, kill yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Just a little thought. I'm just trying to plant seeds.
And so some people are interested in covering some of these stories for the wrong reason, because it's popular, because there's an anti-Trump sentiment that's rising. Now, I'm not for Donald Trump, but I see how they play both sides, and it's really controlled chaos. It's really about manufactured civil unrest, and sometimes they have their convenient enemy, and it's marketable, and people will buy products. There's a video game like 10, 15 years ago where it, you know, from I think Rockstar Games, where you're running around shooting things up in a friggin' shopping mall. And so these video games that are out there, and I'm not going to attack gamers, but I am going to say there's quite a bit of this predictive programming. Just like we see Call of Duty and other video games, they're depicting World War III. It's set in Montana, this video game. There's a Doomsday cult, right? They're talking about the end of the world. One of the trailers starts with this ominous introduction about knowing that the time is near. And there's a lot of people out there, including myself, that are discussing these changing times that we're in. So the intro to the video game pretty much starts out with this ominous tone. And as things progress, and the video game isn't released yet, The heroes of the video game come together to take on this domestic terror threat. And there obviously are a number of people that have been radicalized on the internet, and I'm not denying that. But on the other end of things, here they've used the video game industry to make certain things popular, going into the military, shoot 'em up games really being this realm of fantasy, but something that people generally do fantasize about being able to do as an occupation, especially when you're a young American coming up in the economy of today and the economy that is being created. And all these enemies are also being created for these future soldiers to be fighting. And so we've seen what they've done in the past. We've also seen how they've put the Middle Eastern boogeyman in the movies like True Lies and others in Hollywood films way in advance. So here we see art imitating life, a video game coming out as the SPLC calls the Sovereigns the #1 domestic terror threat within the United States, right? As they start doing more publications about the sovereign threat within the United States, right? Just following this whole Bruce Doucette fiasco in Costilla County, of which I wondered whether the feds were running that operation to begin with. It's very suspicious. This guy, Bruce Doucette, claiming to be a common law judge, trying to rally people around his sovereign ideas. It smelt like a trap. And with Bundy still in people's minds with the wildlife refuge and a lot of anger after the election of Donald Trump, a lot of Americans out there on a witch hunt. They're not necessarily looking the right directions. But if they can find a convenient enemy, they will. And it'll be used simply to make money for corporations as people literally play video games as they fantasize about taking out the domestic terror threat. So in addition to my commentary, I'm going to share with you a couple words from another YouTuber who's well known for, I guess, playing video games and discussing the gaming culture.
But it is definitely this small militia group that has kind of a brainwashed cult, an offshoot, bastardized version of Christianity that comes into the area and uses fascist force to take over the area and force people out of their homes and force people out of their businesses and just overall harming people in general. And those people are then forced to fight back. And you basically play an outsider who can be either male or female. You can be any color you want them to be. And then they join those sides. They join the side of the good guys and then just try to push the bad guys out of the area. Basic Far Cry formula. This time it's just rednecks instead of Nazis or zombies or mutants or whatever else. And now that we have some real information about the game and not just one screenshot or really one promo still, we do have a lot of people just ready to quiet down and wait for the game and wait for the reviews to see if it's any good. Unfortunately, there are definitely some stragglers who still really like to be mad though. There are some people that I think rightly so are a little confused about the fact that this is one of the very first video games in which you've killed a bunch of white people. I mean, there's Grand Theft Auto and other video games like that, but it's pretty rare, and I guess it's becoming increasingly more common where the white guys are the bad guys, but for the most part, whenever we go into one of these little worlds, they tend to be people of a different color or a different religion or different political background, or sometimes even zombies and dragons and things along that lines, so that it feels more comfortable killing people. Now, don't get me wrong, I love killing mass numbers of innocent people. The Carmageddon games, oh, the Grand Theft Auto games, oh, I love it. I love killing innocent people in video games. It is a lot of fun.